As the world watches, the leaders of the 7 most powerful economies have gathered in Canada for the 2025 G7 summit. But this year, the stakes are higher than before. The summit unfolds against the backdrop of a global turmoil. The Israel-Iran war has sent shockwaves through the global community, and the balance of power is shifting in unprecedented ways. Donald Trump, having reclaimed the US presidency in 2024, arrives at the G7 with the trademark bravado and a renewed America First agenda. His recent trade policies and tariffs have already rattled many G7 allies, threatening to isolate the US and disrupt global markets. In fact, Trump's approach has made consensus elusive, and this year, Canada, under the leadership of Prime Minister Mark Carney, has decided to forego the traditional joint communique, opting instead for a series of short statements to avoid public spat over wordings. The tension isn't just economic. Earlier this year, Trump's Oval Office meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky made headlines, but for all the wrong reasons. In a highly publicized and contentious exchange, Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance openly criticized Zelensky, at the time drowning out his voice and leaving the meeting unresolved. In fact, Trump pushed for an immediate ceasefire with Russia, while Zelensky demanded security guarantees. The meeting abruptly ended, with Trump later accusing Zelensky of overplaying his hand and prolonging the war. The fallout was immediate. US aid to Ukraine was briefly suspended, and global leaders rushed to support Zelensky, condemning Trump's confrontational approach.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
Thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
You're
running low on soldiers. You're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Well, adding more fuel to the fire was Trump had repeatedly referred to Canada as America's 51st state, a jab that had obviously not gone down well with the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Carney publicly retaliated, declaring that Canada is not for sale, and privately also urged Trump to stop using this phrase. Carney emphasized on the differences between Trump's wishes and reality, making it clear that Canada's sovereignty is non-negotiable. Despite the tensions, their meeting remained civil, but the underlying friction is palpable and could spill over during this very summit. Let's not forget the drama that unfolded during last G7 summit. Trump turned allies by leaving abruptly and refusing to sign the joint statement, unending the summit's final moment. This action left America's closest partners reeling and further strained relationships that were already under pressure from his protectionist agenda. Well, all of this is happening as the Israel-Iran war rages on. Israel's massive strikes on Iranian targets and Iran's retaliatory missile attacks have put the world on the edge. The conflict has not only diverted attention from Canada's economic agenda, but also made it harder for the G7 leaders to find common grounds on pressing security issues. With unresolved personal grudges, clashing national interests, and a world in crisis, the stage is set for a potentially explosive G7 summit. Will there be a full-blown confrontation with Trump? Only the time will tell. But one thing is certain, this year's G7 is anything but business, not as usual.